Hey YouTube, welcome back to a brand new video. My name is Kevin and this is the Red Pilled American. So there's been a lot of stuff in the news the last several months in regards to our tax system, and um, I believe a lot of people, and I know a lot of people agree that our tax system is complicated and we're overtaxed and most people want a tax cut, and now of course there's just like we're divided on everything, we're divided on, okay, how do we do it? What's a fair and the most reasonable way to cut taxes? So, um, right now we have a progressive tax system. That's our system currently, and it's your tax bracket. You're put out to a bracket depending on the income you make, and the income you make is what you pay. So that's what a progressive tax system is. Donald Trump's trying to work to extend the tax cuts that he created because they're supposed to set to expire. However, Congress, the rhinos, and the Democratic Party want to own him to let it expire. At least the Democrats, we know, want that to happen so they can see him fail because they really want him to fail. But we're overly taxed. A lot of the stuff that we are taxed doesn't go to anything, and yeah, so. And with the tariffs, Trump's proposal, his end goal is eventually to remove the income tax for all Americans. I think that's his end goal. But like anything, will it work? That's the question. Will it work? And well, I'd say yes, because there was a time where we didn't have an income tax, and a lot of our funding to fund the government came through tariffs. In fact, back in the day, that's how a lot of, like the Roman Empire, back in the day in history, a lot of countries and nations did fund the government a lot through tariffs as well. I have to fact check myself on the Roman Empire stuff. I like to learn history myself, but I know tariffs have been a big way people funded their government, so it's not a new thing. So now the question is, what is the fairest and most realistic most effective way I believe is what Trump needs to do in regards to what's most realistic now. There's long-term goal, but there's short-term goals, and right now I'm focusing more on the short term. So the left lies and says that his tax cuts are only for the rich. That's generally what they always spew, that he only wants to, benefit his billionaire buddies. They accuse him of wanting to cut Social Security, Medicare, for the vulnerable, they say, even though that they've allowed it, even though our system's fraudulent as it is, and they don't want to fix it. Instead, they want to use it to virtual signal and fearmonger to seniors. So in regards to what's a fair tax system? Well, I'd say simplifying the tax code it's currently is one option. You can just simplify it. But we have to go take a step further, and I think the most reasonable thing, and Trump has proposed this in his campaign trail, of the no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, and no tax on overtime. I agree. The no tax on overtime essentially is, it not essentially, it does. It incentivizes people to work more, and if you have overtime, if you work overtime, you're going to make a lot more money through overtime. So that's a smart thing on his part. And there's no tax on overtime. And again, no tax on Social Security. I wish he would take it a step further, though, and just no tax on 401ks. Make seniors a tax-free when they retire. It's kind of stupid that especially on Social Security, that you have to pay into it your whole life, your whole life, work, your career life working, and only for the government to take it back again. So I think that's a good smart proposal, and no tax on tips. People who work in restaurants, bars, taxi drivers, you know, you know, work in strips like the casinos and like the Vegas area. You know, people who again, delivery driver, people who make who and waitresses, waiters. Those people would benefit a lot. There's a lot of those workers out there who they have to kind of make a living that way. So that would be a big benefit for middle class, and in some ways kind of a little lower middle class. So that would be smart on his part to do that. So I like that. The next thing I think he needs to do, though, and he's actually proposed this today, is and throughout his campaign trails, that he needs. I think he wants to eliminate income tax altogether for people who make under $200,000 a year. I think that is genius, and I think he mentioned something about wanting to raise the taxes on wealthier earners, but not necessarily billionaires. He said people who make the highest earners, like the highest upper class, and the millionaires, which I think is smart. Which it debunks the left's narrative that he wants to tax the rich, and he actually does something that they never done. By the way, the left's all talk. They love tax cuts for themselves and for their special interest donors. But so again, the left just used that as their way to virtual signal. There was stuff about he wanting to take taxes, eliminating the no capital gains tax, which is genius. That the whole thing's dumb in the first place. There's reform the salt tax. That one I'm not so educated on what that is, so that one I can't really say much about. And also removing special tax breaks for certain tax breaks for billionaire like sports team owner, which is smart too, because some of the stuff the owners have done in sports are kind of messed up as well with the taxes and stuff as well. That one I'm not sure what that entails as well, though. So, but he has some things that really kind of steal the spotlight from the left, so it's smart on his part. But I think if he raises, because I think what he's gonna do is he's gonna raise the taxes. He might raise the taxes on the wealthiest earners, so he could to basically offset the taxes he cuts on middle class, and also to implement the no tax on tips, the no tax on Social Security, and no overtime tax, and also eliminating the income tax altogether, possibly for the lowest earners who make especially under six figures. So that would be a huge gain for the middle class, because the middle classes are the ones that are footing the bill for all this crap that we're paying for, and nothing gets affected. I mean, have you paid attention to USAID and all the crap? So yeah, and stuff. So I don't know. I mean, that's all I have for tax. I think that would be, there's always the flat tax as well. Flat tax, though, is complicated because the left hate the flat tax the most, because it's like, oh, but all it does is I can see the argument there, because it only raises the taxes it lowers the taxes for the highest earners, and basically those who already paying that minimal already pay. So for example, let's say as an earner, let's say your tax bracket's 15%, but let's say the wealthier income, the person who makes the higher income gets paid 30, but you get a flat tax where everyone pays 15%, then the only person who's really getting the tax cut is that person, is the higher earner, and the person who's already paying it just basically stays the same. And so that one, I don't know. That one, I guess I can see the argument there, but I guess I like that because it kind of does kind of hold them. It is fair. It is a fair system, more fairer system, because everyone pays the same. and it potentially would remove all those loopholes that that people can use to get around it. So I think that could be a good option as well. But I think Trump's proposal on just removing on what he's currently proposed, though, and potentially removing the income tax for the people who make under 200,000 is smart. It's the smartest thing, and raising the tax a little and offsetting it by raising the tax on the highest earners who make more than that's basically, I think, would be the smartest way to do it, because it balances it out, so you offset it. So I think that's the best compromise for now. It kind of shut the left up in regards to only benefiting the rich, and maybe they'll take the opposite stance now, because the left always seems to do and take the opposite stance when Trump supports something. So I'm sure Trump will get them to be against it for some reason, because they just can't help themselves. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I mean, that's something I'd like to, but feel free to comment on the bottom after this video if what you guys think, but or something. But what do you think what do you think the fairest tax system is? I mean, I think and I think essentially removing the income tax, potentially, and replacing it with tariffs. 'Cause I think the end goal is eventually to replace the income tax altogether. Remove that, because which is interesting, because basically it would basically replace it with the consumption tax, and essentially all the middle class would pay basically would be paying if they had federal income tax exempt from the people under 200,000, is it basically they would be paying as a consumption tax, so they'd have more money in their pocket, so they wouldn't hurt as much in inflation. See, so and even if they have to pay a little more on certain products, at least it's made well and you get more quality products. But plus you only pay the tariff if it's not made here. You're already seeing the progress on companies coming here. So so you may not even have to pay a tariff necessarily. But a consumption tax is would probably be the fairest system, though, even more than the flat tax, because consumption tax is essentially a sales tax. It's on the consumer. But while yes, they may be paying a little bit more, it's fairer because you have more freedom with the money. So you have the freedom if you're going to go buy that pair of shoes. You have the freedom if you're just going to decide, nah, I won't buy avocado right now, or something like that. So to me, that is the fairer system. You have a little bit more freedom, and you get to choose what the money goes to, rather than giving it to the feds where you don't know where it's going to. And let's face it, we're paying more in the income tax than we would ever pay in consumption tax. That's just a fact. So the left will fearmonger. They'll say Trump's approval ratings are going down big time. They're saying that he's terrible. But that's funny. You know what generation approves of him the most? Gen Z, because they recognize it's America first. So it's America first. They see this as America first policies, and so I don't know. But yeah, I just wanted to make this video, just things that I've been reading today and just hearing about. So what are your thoughts on our tax system, and what do you think is the best tax system? Anyway, if you like this video, please like and comment if you wish. If you like this channel, please subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. That's all I have for tonight. Red Pilled American out.